Is it possible that many doctors and the American Heart Association are just wrong? For years, the medical community has said that LDL cholesterol is bad cholesterol and that lower is better. This publication, taken right from the American Heart Association website, says that we should aim for an LDL level of 100 or less. However, a recent study says that this is just not so. In fact, it tells us something much different. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in the US, so it's worth our while to look into the details. Stay tuned and we'll explain why they say that an LDL of lower than 100 is actually associated with a higher likelihood of death, and that there are other measures you should consider using. This was a big study that included 22 years of data and over 175,000 people. Everyone in the study was aged 50 to 89 years old. They were not taking statins, and they were considered primary prevention type patients, meaning that they did not have any history of stroke or heart disease. This was a large, real-world sample of adults at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, with substantial long-term follow-up and precision for analysis. And here is what the researchers found. This graph shows the likelihood of dying based on your LDL cholesterol. The way this graph works, the lower the curve, the lower your survival likelihood, and the greater your chance of dying. You can see that the groups with the greatest likelihood of dying had the lowest LDL cholesterol. People with LDL levels anywhere from 30 to 99. You can also see that the groups with the lowest likelihood of dying had LDL levels that are markedly higher than the range advised by the American Heart Association. And they were in the range of 130 to 189. And look at these graphs. In all cases, a lower number means a lowered hazard ratio or lower the chance that you die. You can see that with LDL cholesterol, it's a U-shaped curve. This means that it's bad if your LDL is very low or very high, but it's actually good if you're in the mid-range. And the good mid-range is much higher than the levels promoted by a great part of the medical community. The safest place to be is actually above 100 and below 189. The scientists also measured other parts of cholesterol, and they found that other ratios were better measures of risk. You can see that both the total cholesterol to HDL and triglycerides compared to HDL ratios were more meaningful indicators of risk. The curves are unambiguous, and the message is clear in these cases that lower is better. But does this make sense? The authors highlight a number of other data points that say, yes, it does make sense. One very credible source is the life insurance industry, whose entire business revolves around predicting when people will die. Insurance actuaries are professionals who use mathematics, statistics, and financial theory to assess the risk of potential events. It's notable that insurance companies do not worry about someone's LDL cholesterol. Rather, they look at total cholesterol and the ratio of total cholesterol divided by HDL cholesterol. You can see in this table from MetLife Insurance, for example, that they consider you an excellent risk, eligible for what they call Elite Plus status, if you're between the ages of 50 to 69 and have a total cholesterol no higher than 230, and a ratio of total to HDL no greater than 4.5. And there have been other studies that corroborate the U-shaped curve observed by these authors. This study from Denmark looked at almost 110,000 people. It showed a U-shaped relationship between LDL cholesterol and long-term death, with the lowest risk of all-cause mortality being an LDL level of about 140. But here's the curious thing. The Denmark study did in fact confirm the standard medical guidance that lower LDL is better as far as just heart attacks are concerned. See this graph here showing a strong linear relationship where lower LDL is indeed always better. The problem is that we don't just die of heart attacks, we die for all sorts of reasons. So what are the takeaways? They are that two very large studies support the conclusion that very high levels of LDL are bad for us, but very low levels are also bad. If your concern is purely heart attack, getting your LDL as low as possible seems to be the correct guidance. But if you are concerned about all possible causes of death, LDL levels higher than 100, and what is commonly recommended may be beneficial. The two studies suggested that levels in the mid-hundreds are actually better for you. Other ratios you may want to consider are total cholesterol and the ratio of total cholesterol divided by HDL cholesterol. All these different cholesterols can be confusing. So it's really good to have a simple rule because it's easy to follow. But in this case, the simple rule regarding LDL cholesterol should always be as low as possible might be less than ideal. It goes without saying, discuss this with your doctor. Share this study with them and ask them to interpret what it means in your situation. Everyone's needs and health histories are different, and what works for you may not make sense for someone else. Thank you for watching, and please see my other videos here on how you can take the best care of yourself and your loved ones.